Dear friends, welcome to this episode of Toptalk. Today our guest is Dr. Markus Ritter, the head of the EU mission in Armenia. Dr. Ritter, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. The EU mission in Armenia was launched by the decision of the EU Foreign Affairs Council in early 2023. The mission is mainly deployed along the Armenia-Azerbaijan border, monitors the situation on the ground and reports to Brussels about the developments here. While considered an important step in the EU's engagement in the region or EU's presence in the region, especially in Armenia, the mission has received a lot of appreciation and some criticism as well, we must say. So thank you very much again for this interview. It seems it will be your first interview, especially video interview with a Baku-based media outlet, and this is why I really feel happy. Dr. Ritter, while the EU mission in Armenia, as I said already, has been operational since early 2023, and it's been already a year and a half. How would you characterize, looking back and retrospectively analyzing your accomplishments and activities, how would you characterize your successes and or challenges during this past period, especially this year, 2024?
Okay, thank you for the question. Maybe to be very correct, we are not mainly deployed to the border to Azerbaijan. We are only deployed alongside the border to Azerbaijan. So we don't patrol alongside the border to Iran, to Turkey or Georgia. Okay, the main successes since we arrived here, we had some incidents at the border to Azerbaijan, but all in all, in total, the number of incidents decreased significantly. And also, since we are here, there have no civilians be harmed, injured or killed. And this are successes of the mission. Also, we had some events, for example, at the Eastern weekend in April this year, when there were allegations that Armenia would build up a military in a certain region, and Azerbaijan was concerned that there might be a military operation. By our presence there and by making our observation public by X or by a press release, that we didn't see any significant changes, we were able to calm down the situation. So these are our successes we had so far. At the beginning, when we arrived here, the expectations were quite high, especially in the local population alongside the conflict-affected area at the border. So some thought we are kind of we are replacing the Russian peacekeepers, or we are an additional protection force or something like this. So by a lot of visits in the villages, in the farms, in the towns, in the area, but also with the support of the media here in Armenia, we made clear that we are not able to protect somebody because we are a very small, unarmed civilian mission, that we are here to observe and to report to Brussels, and by our presence calm down the situation where it is necessary. But that was a challenge at the beginning.
I see. So how does the mission ensure a balanced approach that considers the security concerns of both, not only Armenia, where you are deployed, but also Azerbaijan? There has been some concerns and criticism raised by the Azerbaijani government. How do you usually address them?
Yeah. First, the balance. We patrol normally on our own, so we don't let either the Armenian or the Azeri side know where we are. So both have the same knowledge, the zero knowledge. There are some areas where we go with escorted patrols. That means we have escorts from either the Armenian military or the border guard. These patrols are planned 1 week in advance. We send a roster, a schedule where we want to go. And this goes also to Baku through the office of the European Union Special Representative. So that means if the Armenians have knowledge 1 week in advance where we are going, the Azerbaijanis also have this knowledge. The next is that our reports, our findings, we do not share with the Armenians. We only report to Brussels. And from there, our reports are shared with the European Union member states and with the installations in Brussels. And the last point, if we have findings, if we see something, if there are allegations and we find out that it's not true, that one or the other side is building up military capacities, we never point with the finger. We do it like we did in Eastern. We just make a common comment like, we have been in this area, patrolling the whole day. It was a very nice day. The people were celebrating Eastern. Everything is peaceful. So by not pointing with the finger on one or the other side, we also don't blame anybody. And this is what we are doing to keep the balance.
Yes. Yeah, like many people, including myself, have noticed how balanced your press releases usually are. As I said, on the one hand, it gains some appreciation. On the other hand, you may also be accused by both sides for this type of wordings. You already partially touched upon this, but I want to clarify, somehow get your confirmation by asking, does the mission staff visit the military positions? And if another follow-up question, do you usually harmonize or align your reports with the Armenian authorities or military institutions?
When we go with escorted patrols, there are possibilities also to enter the military positions, only if we have escorts. But then we see the same out of this position what the Armenians can see. So there is nothing additional knowledge. We see the same what the soldiers beside us see. As I said, our conclusions, our observations then are not shared with them. They don't know what we are reporting. And if we go on patrol, the visit of a military position is only one part. We have a lot of observation positions, and most of our observation positions are outside any reach of one or the other side. So they have no idea what we are making pictures of and what our conclusions. Yeah.
I see. Dr. Ritter, earlier you said about high expectations about the mission when it first got deployed in Armenia. You interact with local people, the residents who live in the borderland. Based on your assessment, on your daily observations, what are the main perception of the local Armenians residing in those areas about your activities?
Everywhere where we are going, we are warmly welcomed. So for the people here, we are a third party. We are an international entity who is visiting them. Some of them in the remote areas never had visitors except maybe the Russians or something, apart from the Armenians. So this is something we give them the feeling that the international community is taking care. So there is somebody who's listening to their concerns. We normally go there unannounced. So we are parking somewhere on a marketplace or whatever, knocking on doors and talk with the people. We are hearing their concerns. And as I said at the beginning, a lot of people thought that European Union is now coming to protect them. In the meantime, we have now launched nearly 3,000 patrols. Now I think it's clear to most of the people what we are doing and what we are able to do. But at least it is kind of venture, so they have somebody to talk to, and we also it sums up our pictures of the region because going alongside the border on the Armenian side only gives one side and one perspective. But if we add what the people who are living there are telling us, what they are feeling and what are their concerns and their fears, that gives the whole picture, at least from the Armenian side. We would love to have also the picture from the Azerbaijani side, but that is not possible. The people know that we are there to show some interest and they know that we are able, if something is going on, to alert Brussels and through Brussels, maybe the world, whatever, so they don't feel so alone. But that is what they have. I think they don't have higher expectations now.
Dr. Ritter, you spoke about the challenges you face, especially in the early phase of your activities. You spoke about how during your presence, the things have calmed down. But still, what, in your opinion, are the problematic areas of the Azerbaijan-Armenia border, especially given the fact that we have now almost 1,000 kilometer undemarcated and undelimited boundary?
Yeah. Inside Armenia, we have freedom of movement. We can go everywhere alongside the border. We had a problem with the area of Nerkin-Hand in the Syunik province because the Russian border guards, they denied access to this. So we haven't been there yet. That might change now with their retreat from the 1st of August. The rest, what can I say? The challenges are mostly the landscape, the road conditions. So there are areas we cannot reach half of the year because of the altitude in the Jermuk area and in Matuni, east of Sot. So the weather conditions are very harsh. It's not reachable for us, but that also means for the military, for both conflict parties, it's hardly to reach. And I think that was also always in the history here that in the winter time, nothing really is happening. We had, but otherwise the challenge is that there are areas where we cannot reach really the border, but we are reaching the confrontation line. We only can go as far as there are the Armenian positions, because, as I said before, the Azerbaijani side doesn't allow us to do the same on their side. So this is the challenge, that sometimes we have to stay a little bit away, because it's not clear where the border is. It starts now to be different in the Tavush area, where this border commission starts to mark the border. This is now easy for us to patrol alongside these border posts and the fences they are doing there, because this is now an agreed border. But all in all, the challenge is more the weather condition and the high altitude and the road condition than the border not being marked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sir, we already discussed the operational part of the EU mission in Armenia. I wanted to ask a couple of questions about the future, about the fate of the mission, the vision in Brussels or your own thinking. So how do you, how do you think how do the long-term goals of the mission align with the broader EU vision about the region?
I think it's not even a question of how we have to align with the European Union vision for the whole South Caucasus area. We don't make politics here. We are here on the invitation of the Armenian government and on the decision of the Council of the European Union. So whenever they decide to change something, to change the mandate, first they can only decide if Armenia agrees, because we cannot do anything here that is not agreed with the host country. Second, the chance to change something is also somehow much balanced because of the European Union. You have 27 member states. All of them are sovereign countries. There are some who are closer to Armenia. There are also a lot of who are closer to Azerbaijan. So that means the mandate of the mission, if it will continue in the future, will always be a balanced mandate, because it will be the minimum consensus they have in the council what to do or not. So I don't expect huge changes. For sure, if one day the Armenian government will tell us, okay, thank you, it's enough, you can go now, we will leave. But also if one day the peace process will be finished and you have a peace treaty between both countries, the European Union might decide that our mandate will change or we will go. But that is a political decision that has to be taken between Yerevan, Armenia, and Brussels, the member states. So, and I will do whatever they tell me. So I don't have my own agenda on this.
You partly spoke about this, and this is one of the most discussed issues, the upcoming Armenia-Azerbaijan peace deal, which will further push the border, the demarcation and delimitation. If the peace deal is signed this year or the next, in the foreseeable future anyway, and if the border demarcation goes smoothly and successfully, do you think there will still be a need for the EU monitoring mission in Armenia? Like, for how long do you think the mission will be needed there?
To be honest, I cannot tell you. That depends. If, as I said, if Armenia says now we have the demarcation, everything is marked, we don't need you anymore, that is one. Maybe, but also that both sides then will agree that for a certain time this mission will stay and will continue to patrol alongside the agreed border. I have no idea. That is a political decision that, as I said, that has been taken between Armenia and Brussels, but also between Armenia and Azerbaijan to talk about what we should do in future. But we will do what politics is telling us. We are not deciding on our own.
Yes. Last but not least, Dr. Ritter, what sort of changes in terms of increase or decrease of staff, as well as inclusion or withdrawal of certain countries, has happened or is to happen regarding the EU mission in Armenia?
There's nothing happening. If a mission is decided in the European Union mission, normally in general, all member states agree to send staff. So we have now, out of 27 member states, 23 member states who are sending staff. So if we don't have staff from certain member states, that doesn't mean that they don't want to participate. What the system is more, we are not a military mission where you can deploy units or something. If we have a mission like here and we need staff, we advertise, we open positions for applications. Then from all Europe, people can apply for certain positions. Then we have a panel who's selecting the best one. And sometimes it can be that the best ones, selecting the best one means that some states who had not the best applicants are not representative, but it's not that one state is retreating or something. The other question is with Canada as third contributing states. I can tell you that this is already a long tradition. Maybe you know that I have been head of mission also of the European Union mission in Iraq. And there we had from Australia, from Canada. So already from tradition, Canada is always one of the first who's contributing. And it's also in the Council decision when you launch a mission, if in general a mission is open to third contributing state. And that was agreed also before we came here. So that means it is in general possible for other countries to send staff, but they also have to apply. What is not possible to have third contributing state members from neighboring states. So it's not possible for Georgia, for Turkey, for Iran, for Azerbaijan to send people, because neighboring countries, you want to keep them out, but that was the same in Iraq, because they sometimes have a special relationship with the conflict. So this is not possible. That's all behind it. And then it depends who's willing to send. And as you already said, the first who again said, yes, we are willing, and they already sent one, is Canada.
Dr. Markus Ritter, the head of EU Mission Armenia, thank you very much for interesting conversation, sir.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. All the best to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.